Alright, so here in Blender, let's bring in that reference image by going Image Reference and finding it. Let's go S2 to scale it a little bit, and then let's press G and move it up, and zoom in G and move it up until the 3D cursor is pretty much right at the bottom of this round part here. We may have to move it a little bit more though. Okay, so with that done, let's press Shift A, Mesh, Cube, and let's go Control 2 to add 2 subdivisions in Shade Smooth. Let's come into Edit Mode by hitting Tab and Control R, put an edge loop right down the middle, press 3 for face selection, and Shift and Alt and click on an edge there so we can go all the way around, and Shift and that face there, and let's delete those. Let's press 1 to look from the front again. Let's just move this up. Okay, we can press Z and go into wireframe and scale it a little bit. It's a little bit hard to tell the dimensions. I'm going to click on this bottom face here. And I'm going to press S and I'm going to scale it in. And let's come over here. And we're going to go ahead and apply that subdivision. Now we can see. Alright, I'm going to press S to scale and scale it down so that this top line is right where it splits there. I'm going to S Shift Z, that way we can scale it without lengthening it. Now SZ and just keep tweaking it until you feel you've got a shape that matches the diagram pretty good, and that's fine with me right there. Let's go back into Edit Mode and deselect everything. Press 2 for edge selection and Shift and Alt to click the top there. I'm going to press E to extrude and pull up, and then I'm going to press S to scale it in a little bit. I can look from the front. It doesn't matter if you're not exactly on the diagram. Alright, but that's what I have so far. I'm going to press E and S, pull in just a little bit, and then E and pull down just a little bit. That. Now Control R for an edge loop, pull it up near this line, and Control R and pull it down near that line. We don't have to go right to it. That'll sharpen that up. Control R up there, and we'll do one more Control R right in here. Now that doesn't seem to do much because we don't have a subdivision on, so let's go Control 1 now and just make sure we got Shade Smooth. So this is what we have. We'll go into Edit Mode and Wireframe and just see. I'm happy with that overall shape. Okay. One thing I should probably do is take the reference image and pull it back in the Y a little bit just to get it out of the way. Okay, so let's take this piece here. I'm going to go into Edit Mode and Shift D to duplicate it, pull it up, and then RX 180 to flip it. I'll go into Wireframe and S to scale. I'm going to scale it down till it pretty much fits there, and then let's move it a bit in SZ to scale in the Z and do that. And I think now I will scale it out, so not in the Z, so S Shift Z, pull it out a bit and just get it to match as much as you want. Now SZ. I think I will separate this piece out from this one. I'm not sure why, but I'm going to press P, separate by selection, and go back into object mode and solid view. So I have the top and the bottom. Now we'll make the blue part the glass part. The way we'll do that is come in and in edge selection, number 2, Shift Alt and click an inner edge like that one. Shift T to duplicate it, pull it up a bit, press P to break it out. And now we have this. I'll go into Edit Mode and pull it down a little bit to about there. Look from the front. Press E to extrude and come up to about there, and then we'll press S to scale until it looks like it goes right under like that. Okay, now I'm going to press Control R to add an edge loop, click, and I'm going to drag it down just a little bit like that, and then S to scale. I'm going to pull it out to pretty much match the diagram, and then I'm going to go Control B to bevel, pull like that, split it like that, and then roll my mouse up about 3 times and pull this so I get a nice gradual slope. Shade Smooth, and I now have the the glass piece in there as well. All right, so far so good. Let's come in here. We're going to make this bar that sort of supports the lava lamp and the legs. So choose one of these edges, something like this one. Shift D, S to scale, and I'm going to press P to break it out. So I've got that. I'm going to turn off, I think, the subdivision. Now I'm going to actually delete the subdivision. We're going to convert this into a curve. Right now it's just a mesh with various points on it. So right click, convert to curve, come to the curve dialog box, and under geometry, under bevel, hold down shift and pull to the right to increase the size of that. Let's go shade smooth and control 2 for 2 subdivisions. Let's look at that and go to edit mode and just pull it down and press S to scale and just roughly match the diagram like that. Okay, so far so good. Now we're going to do these legs, and I think the way we'll do that is by bringing in another cube. Go to edit mode, scale it a little bit, and G to move it over, scale it down a little bit more, go into object mode and control 2 like we did before. We'll shade smooth, go back into edit mode and S to scale, and start getting it to pretty much follow the diagram, something like that. Okay, with that done, I'm going to apply that subdivision, apply, and then we're going to come in and look at this and try to find the top quad. So I'm going to press 3, all right, right here, 1, 2, 3, 4, those ones there. All right, I'm going to press I to inset, pull in just a little bit, and right click and choose loop tool circle. Now you have to have that enabled. It's a free add-on Blender, so you should have that. S to scale a little bit and pull it up a bit. Okay. Now I'm going to flatten out this top, and then we're going to make the leg part. SZ0, S to scale. Okay, now to do this, to make the leg, I'm going to use the spin tool. And you see my 3D cursor is here, and the spin tool is going to work off of that. So let's just try it with those 4 quads selected right there. All right, I'm going to scroll down here and choose spin, and I'm going to switch this to Y. And I'm going to grab here, and I'm going to pull. And you can see what it's doing. All right, it's coming in. It's not quite hitting the bar, so we're going to do some manipulations here. So I'm going to go back out of there, and I'm going to select the whole thing, and I'm actually going to, I think, move it out a little bit off the diagram. Now these are not in the position that I modeled this. They're actually rotated 45 degrees, so you'll see what I mean in a bit. So it may line up better in a moment. Select those top 4. Keep the 3D cursor there for the moment to see what happens. Try spin in the Y. Okay, now we're coming closer. But I'm going to do a little bit of an adjustment still. So let's try moving this a little bit more further out. Maybe scaling it down a little bit. Grabbing those 4. Just a little bit of trial and error here. Okay, let's come down to the spin tool. Let's spin again. Not quite, but we can move this. All right, but let's come over here to the steps and change this to about, see what 4 does. That's probably all we're going to need there. Let's try that. All right, leave it like that. But with those faces still selected, X faces, get rid of those faces. Select it all, click there. And I'm going to R to rotate this a little bit like that, and S to scale it down. And I just want to position this so it looks like it comes out. So I'm going to scale it a bit more. And I'm just going to press G to grab. And I'll move that into the position that I like. Control 1 for another subdivision. And that looks okay to me. Okay. All right. The 3D cursor is still in the middle where I left it. So I'm going to set the origin to the 3D cursor in case it isn't. And I'm going to go ahead and mirror. So I've got that, and Shift D, rotate Z 90. That'll put them on all sides. But I don't really want it right in the front, so I'm going to select them all, and I'm going to rotate Z 45. Now let's look. And we're a little closer to the diagram. We're a little bit off, but it still looks okay. I think actually, well, as I look at this thing, I could consider moving it a little bit. I think I'll do just I'm just moving it by eye here, and so I'm going to get rid of these ones, and I'm going to do that part again. I'm going to Shift D, rotate Z 90, and see if I like it. I think I'm going to be fine. So, all right, that's fine. There is a power button on the front. The way we'll do that is we'll come into edit mode, press 1 for vertex selection, and select that point. Bring the 3D cursor there. Shift S, cursor to selected. Shift A now, mesh circle. Change this to 16. Go into edit mode and scale it down, and then rotate X 90 so it's facing us. It's going to wireframe. S to scale, pull it in, and SX to scale it in the X so it's a little bit more of an oval. I'll pull that out. I'll go to solid view. I'm going to press F to make a face, E to extrude and pull back in the Y, but delete that face, X faces. Press 3 and select that front face. Control B and pull. Have a few segments in there. Go back into object mode and Control 1 for one subdivision and shade smooth. Press 3 to look from the side. Select it all. Pull back, and then R to rotate, and then G to grab, and just rotate it and move it until it's in a position that you like. And if it's still a bit too round, you can still SX, make it a bit more oval. I like it like that. I think it's pretty good. Okay, we're going to do the little hole there where the cord comes out. So we're going to do it from the side. Press 3. Go into edit mode. Press 1 for vertex selection and select that. Shift S, cursor to selected. So we bring our 3D cursor there, and we can bring our next object there. So looking from the side, Shift S, Shift A, sorry, mesh circle. 16, same thing. Edit mode, scale it down. Rotate Y 90. You have to do this by eye, and that's fine. So just make a size that you like. Pull it out a little bit. Okay, like that. I'm going to look from, let's see, just actually any position at all. All right, I'm going to start with that, and maybe a little bit smaller. That's fine. Just any size you like. All right, I'm going to press E, and I'm going to extrude backwards a bit. Deselect, Shift and Alt and click that edge of vertices. E and S, come in a little ways. Maybe like that. E, extrude out like that. I'm going to select the whole thing and press E, Alt S, and I'm going to pull down to give it all some sort of thickness like that. And now we're going to bevel the edges. Press 2, Shift Alt and click all of these edges right here. And then we'll press Control B and pull, but roll back to 0, so I have just 2 edges and then 1 more in the middle. That's good enough. Object mode, Control 1, shade smooth, and then we'll get rid of these back faces here. Press 3 for face selection and Shift Alt and click on these back faces, and we'll get rid of them. All right, I'm going to look from, let's say, 1 again, so I can position this, and I'm going to press G to grab, R to rotate, G, and just bring it in until it makes contact, and you're happy with the positioning of it. So there it is. Let's make the cord. So select it and go into edit mode and select it all. Shift S, cursor selected. I seem to always be doing that. Let's look from the top and Shift A, curve path. Go into edit mode, and I'm going to scale it down a little bit. And I'm going to pull it forward so that the second dot is roughly on top of there. I'm going to grab all of these, so there's 3 vertices there, and I'm going to press G to move them. I'm going to deselect, grab these 2, G, and then I'm going to grab just this last one, G. I'm going to pull it over here, and then I'm going to go E, and just extend that out a bit. Now I'm going to Shift Alt and click all of these vertices. I guess I've got 4 there. Press 3 to look from the side, and I'm going to pull these down until they're pretty much at the level of the foot there. Let's hide the empty or reference image. Have a look at this. Okay, now I need to make sure, I'll pull this back, that this looks like it's coming out. Let's go ahead and give this some thickness. So under bevel for this curve, bring it up. Okay, now I'll come in and I'm going to pull this back in the X. And now it's just manipulation time. Look from the side. Press G. So it looks like the cord is coming out of there. Maybe I'll take this point here, just move it up just to relax that. It's looking pretty good to me. Might want to have this in behind actually. So I'm going to press G. And this one maybe G. Yeah, don't like that curve anymore. Alright, just anything. Just manipulate the points so you're happy with the shape of it. Nah, that's okay. Alright, you get the picture. Alright, we're going to go on now and hide that. I'll bring back the empty, and what I want to do is I want to create this part and the lava itself. Now, the way I'm going to create the lava is using Metaballs. I could do that with this surface, and then these parts would sort of stick to it and interact with it better. But I don't feel like doing that. I'm just going to do something else for this. All right, so I'll show you what I am going to do. I'm going to hide the empty again. I'm going to come in here. And I'm going to take a circle here, this one, that innermost circle, Shift D, bring it up, P to break it out, come in here and delete the subdivision, don't need it, go into edit mode, select it, and F to make a face. I want to give this some thickness, so I'm going to press E, I'm going to pull down, select it all, move it up, and that thing is done. All right. However, I'm going to bring my 3D cursor there, so select it and Shift S cursor to select it. Now I want to make a subdivided area here that I can put a displacement on to make that bumpy surface. And I'm going to do that is I'm going to bring in a plane. That's good enough. Go into edit mode. I'm going to right click, subdivide, and I'm just going to go for maybe 10. You know what, let's go for 12. Not much difference, but okay. So I want this plane to fit inside this part. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to, with it selected, choose Boolean, intersect. I'm going to click on fast, and with the eyedropper, I'm going to choose this. So now this thing has cut the plane into a circle. I'm going to go ahead and apply, take this piece and delete it. And this plane is now subdivided. All right, so I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to move it down to about there. And I'm going to add a displacement so I get that bumpiness, like this. However, I don't really want it bumpy right on the edges because then it sticks out from around here and it's more difficult to work with. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hide the top, come into that plane, press 3 for face selection, C for page select, and I'm just going to select this middle area here, or just anything really. It doesn't have to be a symmetrical thing. I'll go for that. That's fine. And I want to apply my displacement just there. So I'm going to come over here to the triangle there. Under vertex groups here, I'm going to click the plus and assign. You can name this if you want. So I've got a vertex group there. Now on this plane, I can come over to the modifiers and choose displace. Click new, clouds, and I can apply that to my just to my vertex group. See down here under the modifier, vertex group, and I sort of avoid the edges a little bit. Let's control 1, shade smooth, and I can reduce the strength a little bit if I want. I might even control 2 just because why not. Pull it down a little bit so I get a nice surface there. I'm going to go ahead and turn on the cavity shader, matte cap, And let's have a look at face orientation. You can see that this one needs to be flipped, Alt-N recalculate, and this one, Alt-N recalculate outside. To make the lava, you can do this in experiment, but I'm going to choose Metaball ball. In the properties here, I'm going to change the resolution to 0.2 to make it a bit smoother. S to scale. Come down to something like that, and Shift D and G, and you can see that they interact nicely. I can make that one a bit bigger. Shift D, G, and just do whatever you want here. All right. I can come back, grab the outline there, Shift D, G, and pull it in, and maybe a little bit smaller, so it looks like it's sort of coming out of there. All right, I can take that one, Shift D, G, pull it out to have one just floating in space, and the only thing we'll have to do is make sure that it's inside. All right. We'll do another one here with a bit of blobbiness coming off like that. All right, so just have fun experimenting with that, and then Alt-H to bring that back. We can just hide the empty anyhow. And if I go there, you can see I've got my lava lamp. I can't see through it, so what I can do is I can select here, and we'll come over to Object, and hit the square there, viewport display, color, I'm going to choose sort of a bluish color, and just drag the alpha down as far as you want, and you can see through it, and it sort of looks like glass. You can do the same thing to color these, so select that and choose a color, and then if I like that color, I'll just come to Hex and Control C to copy it, and then I'll come over here and under Hex, Control V to paste it. And you can do that kind of a thing. So I hope you enjoyed that, and it was easy enough. You followed along. Thanks for watching. See you next time.